surrounding this, and from a staff standpoint in terms of review with the building official, Mr. Held, who's not here, the town has no objection to it in its totality for either of them, though procedurally you will still have to look at them differently, but they are the same. We don't have any objection based on the circumstances, the context, and the nature, the non-permanent nature of the request. So that's what the town has. I don't know if Mr. Sweeney has anything else.
No, Mr. Chair, that's a good summary.
Okay.
Would the applicant like to come up and introduce the application?
Morning, everyone.
And Mr. Chair, just to be clear,
Yep.
the first one we're talking about is 3 Johns Island, the Johns Island Golf Clubhouse Chapin lot.
Chapin.
This will be the first one.
So, my name is August Swartz. I'm a landscape architect out of Winter Park, and Johns Island hired me to really nest the parking areas into the community. I also have an engineer with me, Lane, and we have 2 of the triumvirate of 3 people who really run Johns Island. In case you have any Johns Island questions, we have a real parking situation where we're a lot of the members drive from within, and what we're doing with these 2 things are just making sure that we have parking areas that are safe and no one's going to trip, and they are buffered, and where you normally are looking at a parking or a business and you're protecting, your code generally addresses streetscapes and surrounding properties, and the purpose of your code is to protect those surrounding properties. In this instance, we're both the property and the surrounding property, and they have hired me to make sure that the members are happy with the plantings and everything. So I'm here to answer any questions about plantings for these parking lots or anything you want to know about plants. And Blaine is here to answer any code questions. They're both very similar parking lots. They're sort of like pocket parking lots, and they are where they need to be, where homeowners will be coming near the club. So if you have any questions at all, I'll be more than happy.
No, the application makes sense to me. I just had a couple of questions about it. You're expanding the parking lot from 42 dirt to 57 paved pieces of parking lot, and the parking spots are good size, so that
they're not undersized.
right, they're good size.
Skilled and unskilled parkers, and we want to make sure that
Right, and they have their golf clubs.
there are no problems.
Yeah. I noticed that you're taking out a lot of trees in this one.
There are. I quantified what we took out in diameter and breast height.
Right.
What we're able to save, and from a landscape architect point of view, I'm happy that I was able to save the 54-inch guy. And one of the things that Gary were here, I really was hoping there'd be a discourse with him, because there is, we have oak trees coming. This is the AAA oak tree. Single trunk, canopy almost goes to the ground. But in JI, we have clusters of oaks that have been growing for 60, 80, 100 years. And very often, the total tree is a leaning tree with canopy like this. So it's really what I call a D quality tree. It's not a whole tree. And we had most of the diameter and breast height was that type of tree. And I know that Gary would go out and look at the quality. That's one of the variables he would look at. So, if he had said, hey, we want you to plant more oaks or something, we would have done it, because that's what we do, is we listen to Gary.
Well, that was my question. Yes. Are you going to plant, you're moving out a dozen. Are you going to plant any someplace else to mitigate it?
Without X trees, diameter at breast height is kind of how we quantify the diameter of the trunk at breast height. We took out a certain diameter, but we saved almost 300 inches, and including the really big boy that we actually gave up 2 spots. And these are not a lot of spots. These are not hundreds of spots, but to give up 2, they were very generous to help me do that. So,
Okay.
if you have any other questions.
Can I just add quickly on the tree piece? That, of course, is, while it's not before the board, that is fully vetted and evaluated and permitted through the building department. I just didn't want you to think that that's,
Yeah.
that's something, incorporated within this. That's otherwise permitted and evaluated,
Right.
as you noted, through, Gary Doyle, our tree protection officer.
Right. The, always interested in planting more trees. You know, that,
We are, the world that I live in, we have some diseases that are killing palms in record numbers. And what I'm trying to do is bring, there's a top of this disease that kills palms, kills all palms. But there's these that it really goes after, and then it's these that they don't. And I'm trying to go with these. There are also an equal number of diseases that kill trees, okay? And I don't ever read, I'm recommending, ever read the list by the Florida Department of Agriculture of diseases that are attacking our natives, because you're gonna read that and it's gonna say, this thing is going after live oaks.
right.
Okay?
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't even wanna think about that, because our landscape without live oaks would be completely changed.
Right. It would change the character.
But
No, I
it's
agree.
out there, it's out there.
The only other thing I noticed is that the lot is next to a house.
Each lot is,
Yeah, and-
and that's a very interesting thing, because this is it's a little off the reservation in that we're surrounded by ourselves. You're not protecting outlying properties, but your code, which is written to protect property owners, protects those property owners, and they're guaranteed a wall and a hedge and a number of plantings. So it's an interesting, from a jurisdictional point of view, it's an interesting
Right.
situation.
Yeah, and I agree with all that. The one thing I did notice in your plan, you've got lights, all around, I think 7 lights, which is good, and they're downlit and everything. 2 of the lights are, look like they're 10 feet from that house. And while you're not required to put a shield on it, so they're not looking at the light, it would just be helpful that the light goes towards the parking lot, not towards the house. Is it shielded? Okay. It was just a point.
It's actually, that's a great question, though. When I started in 1983, they didn't have those glare regulations, which are now all over the state. But you should be concerned about glare, but boy, when our homeowner is concerned about glare, he would
Right.
get something would really happen.
Yeah. Well, you're not required. I just wanted to point it out that they would greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Know.
There will be no glare, and I'll give you his name.
I mean, there's 2 lights. There are 2 lights that are 10 feet from this house, so it's like, hey, just something to consider. Okay. Any other questions?
I just had a question because something that was said. You said there was mention of something being temporary. What was as I understood it, this isn't a temporary request, but an actual request to permanently expand and have these parking lots approved in their location.
If I misspoke, I apologize.
I think Mr. Harpering was referencing that in circumstances, and I heard Jim say it as well, but there is a different mechanism that you could use, a temporary use permit, we have a mechanism like that, but due to the fact that, again, this is actually more of a permanent need, that actually would be obviated. That's why we had to go the variance route, and I didn't want to interrupt Mr. Harpering earlier there.
No, I think you should be interrupting me if I did misspeak, and I think to that point, that's kind of why I went through the other reference, and I apologize if I conflated the 2 together, but no, it's not. So the same thing will apply to the other one that you deal with individually.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify my understanding because to me it is a request for a permanent parking lot.
We have a fixed population, a fixed number of lots with a fixed population, but for some reason the need to park has risen. we're hoping that it goes down at some point, but, until we have the hovercrafts and things, we're gonna need parking spaces.
And to clarify that, it would be permanent, but importantly, the variance would only be applicable for this use. So I think maybe to mitigate some of that concern, again, this isn't being, if approved by this board and ultimately by the town council, this doesn't suddenly become a parking lot that turns into a house or turns into a concert venue or turns into retail, nothing like that. It's purely for the purpose of parking. So hopefully that gives a little more clarification.
I'm sorry for creating more confusion than I normally do.
That's okay. I understand now, and I appreciate it. I understand the request, so that was my question.
Yeah, I thought it was permanent. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Liz, you want to take a roll call then?
Dave Crawford,
Yes?
Matt Hutmaker,
Yes.
Terry Bowman.
Yes.
Okay. On to the next one, which is the Clarkson lot.
In the great hope of not confusing anything further, I will exclude my previous comments and incorporate all the clarified ones, and I think we just apply it to the same analysis here.
Right. I would agree with you. The one thing that I did notice that this parking lot did not have any lights, or at least I didn't see any.
You're correct.
Okay. So the neighbor will be happy with that particular thing, I'm sure. So in both instances, the neighbors know about what's going on and noticed and all that stuff. Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant about this application?
No, I would just note that on both these applications, as the commenter noted, that both these requests are internal to Johns Island for Johns Island Club members and residents. So it seems to me they have very limited scope of the application and virtually no impact to non-Johns Island residents.
And just to follow up on that, it's our understanding as a town that all of the roads behind the gates of Johns Island are private, and therefore they control the access. So as you said, it's not open and accessible to the standard public. That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. So with that understanding, I move to approve the variance for the Clarkson Lane parking lot.
I'll
Okay.
second that motion.
Okay, Liz, you want to take a roll call again?
Dave Crawford,
Yes?
Matt Hutmaker,
Yes.
Terry Bowman.
Yes.
Okay. I think that concludes our the Planning, Zoning, and Variance Board for today, unless there are any questions, comments, or other ideas out there. Okay, please note it's 10.